So I'm going to make this one like 4th time lucky, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, here we go again. So, okay, so understanding the principle of a Wavernator or clockwork power is quite a process to understand, but it's solar power, wind power. You see, having all of these is one thing, but if you don't have a good battery, then you start to run into problems very, very quickly. So Tesla's idea of the giga battery is very, very good, very beneficial, because the sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow. Waves, yeah, they're continuous. Clockwork power, yeah, it's continuous. But, however, what we often tend to overlook a lot as humanity is the fact that we take this for granted. So if you have a battery, what this enables you to do is you're able to run away just like global warming did. So everybody knows global warming, correct? Yes, good, excellent, brilliant. So moving on. So the same way that ran away year in, day out, after year, we ran away with this situation, okay? Now the same way we're going to have to run away with this, but it can only run away if you have a battery, more efficiently, more so than anything, because when the solar panel is at peak efficiency and when the wind blows and it then becomes at peak efficiency and the Wavernators are running at peak efficiency and the clockwork is running at peak efficiency, this is all very well, but when you then go to work and you leave these devices to run away, what happens is it starts to charge a battery so that when you come home from work, thus the sun is starting to set, and you come home and you want to cook tea and you want to do this, and it is energy hungry, right? So, you know, it's at that right time when you need that power, but the wind isn't going to blow at that time, okay? And the sun isn't shining in the evening either. So unless you get lucky on some days where the wind blows throughout the whole day, you're able to capture this wind and use it there and then. But if you had a battery and the wind was blowing in the morning when everybody was going to work, and there was a less of a need for electricity during the day, which it's proven that. You can look at statistics of energy. It peaks at one area and then it dips down, and then it peaks again towards the evening and then it dims down. So what you have is this runaway effect of all of these different types of technology that can create a good amount of power, but it's a little, but it can run away inside a battery. And you store it for when the peak times are needed, such as tea time, such as of an evening, at night time, you know, and then you are able to use the power in a more efficient way. So this one with the clockwork that I'm kind of talking about, I don't know if my phone will actually focus in on it. Give it a few seconds and it will. So this one pulls down a clockwork mechanism, and as this one is pulling down, or this one's pulling down via an MRI machine or an electromagnetic device, as it pulls down, okay, it pulls this down, it winds up a clockwork mechanism. Then once it's released, these clockworks spin very fast, and as they spin into this flywheel right here, that then goes off and powers a load of turbines, which are all here. Once this one is finished, its energy has finished and it's been released, it then switches over to the other one that was charging. In the meantime, this one was discharging, this one was recharging by, again, an MRI machine becoming active and pulling on the chains. This can also drop into the floor if you can't turn MRI machines off, or the electromagnetic field is more beneficial to keep it running 24/7 than it is to turn it on, off, on, off, on, off. This can always be dropped into the floor until the magnetic influences lose their grip and the clockwork starts to run once again. So one charges whilst one powers whilst one charges, and back and forth in this cycle. And the flywheel moves from one to the other, to the other, to the other, and this is then creates a constant running of turbines, which then go off into the grid. But what would be much more beneficial is if these clockwork powers and mechanisms were powering into a battery and this was running away. Now you might say that the turbines, you know, they're going to have run into wear and tear at some point, and it's absolutely true, of course they are, but the thing is that once you have these, you can recycle them. Once it's burnt out, you bring it down and you fix it. It's very easy to fix a burnt out motor. It's very easy. And you then put it back onto the grid. Now, like mobile phone technology, it started like the size of a gramophone, right? Let's be realistic. And it was like a landline first. You had to talk to someone on a landline, hang up, that was it. Now what we've got is a computer, a games console, an entertainment system, the internet, a calculator, a camera, and it's all put into one mobile phone. And a PC as well. It's just incredible, right? Music instrument as well. So you can do all sorts of things with your mobile phone, but this didn't come from, you know, just sticking with your landline. This came from bettering the system and there being a need for it. So people became popular with the mobile phone, and we took it and they remade it, made it better. And now we're at the stage where we now have one of these computers and devices that fit on your wrist as a smartwatch, if you like. Sits on your wrist, and you now have all of this technology and weird and wonderful gadgets now down to the size of a wristwatch. That is incredible. Now, if we were able to do that with something like this is where humanity then shifts. Literally, we shift as a species. Now, this clockwork power, you might say, oh, it looks like it needs power to run it. Yep, but if we think about the 3, 6, and 9 principle for a second, and why do I say 3, 6, and 9? Because it just makes it more easier for us humans to understand this principle, okay? So, yes, this system running off of here with the turbines generates 9 volts, let's say. But the system itself, in order to operate, needs 3 volts. So 3 volts to run a system that is capable of creating 9 volts. So what that tells you is that 3 volts to generate the system, it's not 3 volts, but it just helps you understand it. It takes 3 volts to generate the system, but it's capable of producing 9 volts. So therefore, 9 take away 3 gives you 6. 6 volts goes into the grid. 3 volts go back into the system to rerun the system again to create you the 9. And this is how this is called cycling. And what you're doing is tapping into the cycle, and you're taking the leftover energy. So this system is capable of creating more energy than it uses to generate that abundance of energy. And this is how it works. And this is called a cycle. The whole universe uses this same principle of a cycling. Now, to better the system of this, 3 creating an extra 9. So 3 is used to create 9, and then it takes 3, so it gives you 6. And that's what you're tapping into. And if you had a battery, a large giga battery, and this is being constantly pumped into here, along with the Wavernators, along with solar panels, along with wind technology, and it's left to run away, what you start to end up with is a large amount of power into batteries. And then let's say if you build like one factory of giga batteries, and you build another one, all of these things start to get pumped into the batteries, and then you have an abundance of energy. It's not just about creating large amounts of energy. It's about how do you use this energy in a wise way. So creating energy in a wise way and using the energy in a wise way. Well, with our company, check out our website. So practically everything is all copyright at the moment. So we're able to show you what we're trying to do. At the moment, we're limited to funds right now. So like I keep saying, it's funds. I cannot get hold of funds to do this. Now, yeah, so that's where we're at the moment. But if you have a look at the website, you'll see that there are lots and lots and lots of ways that we are creating. Most of these are running already operational inside our house right now, and we have tweaked it. That is so great. So a tumble dryer that has served humanity's purpose of drying your clothes for millennia, however long it's been. It's not been quite that long, but still you get the point. And it uses free 1,000 watts to generate 1 tumble dryer's worth of washing to dry, and yet we have made a device that is quite capable of being taking all of your week's washing, and it uses less energy, so much less energy. It's like 500 watts that is an exaggerated, that's exaggerating. It doesn't even use 500 watts. It uses a lot less, and it dries your clothes in the same way, but it does all of them. Now, it's not just that. There's also the flask kettle, and there's also the flask tank, so that when you heat up a tank of water, it heats it up and it keeps it hot, so you get to use that water and it doesn't leak out of your tank. And if you were to drink lots of cups of tea and coffee, like I've already said on another video, you're able to just boil the kettle once a day. So it's about using the power wisely, which then frees up more power, and then hopefully we never run into this situation that we're facing right now. But it comes from devices such as this. Now, this one is touching upon the Wavernators because it uses the same principle of the clockwork mechanism, which is humankind's best invention. Literally, the clockwork is one of the best inventions I think humans have ever made. And when they found that clockwork system back in the prehistoric days of whenever it was, you can look this up on Google, I'm pretty sure you'll find it very interesting, that our ancestors were using or got an idea of clockwork mechanisms, and that has excelled to this day. So it's all about cycles, it's about tapping into cycles, and it's about running away with cycles. So the Wavernator, again, is about generating large amounts of energy, and I will bring that back up to explain it again, touch upon it, refresh your memory with the Wavernator that comes in, takes the wave and all of that lovely lifting, rising and falling motion that then starts to wind up some clockworks. And as it winds up the clockworks are then discharged the same way the last clockwork energy process happens. That once they've built up, if you've got 100 Wavernators over here discharging their clockwork power that has been made by the waves, and then you've got another 100 of the Wavernators that are charging in this discharge, and then if you have another 100 on standby, so it goes from one discharge, that one then starts charging, then you get another one that's discharging immediately after that, and then these ones are then discharging into it. By that time that one has recharged, and then this one is discharging, and then this one has recharged and now starts to discharge in this continuous cycle. Also, the Wavernators must be able to pivot. Okay, pivoting is very important because when the wave comes up and under, to get a more of a smoother lift and rise and fall, it must be able to pivot. Pivoting is the most important part of this, to be honest, so that when it pivots, the wave comes up, lifts, and then it drops back down, and then when the wave hits into something and then comes back again, it'll then lift and drop again. And as you've got this rising and falling, it's turning a turbine, which is slowly but surely turning a clockwork mechanism, and it can be as big as you like, because what's the strength of the ocean, I wonder? It's very strong. Now, we also have waves that crash into the landlines all the way around, coastlines everywhere, and it is constantly eroding, and this is costing hundreds of thousands of pounds, if not more than that, in insurances and also in people's houses and all sorts of different stuff. And we put up these massive sea defences. It's kind of crazy. So why don't we build some sea defences now, some new type of sea defences with solar panels installed into them. Not only that, there is a excelled version on top of this Wavernator, which we've sat down and we're still in the process of building this. It's almost complete. It's where a wave hits into something and it creates energy as well. So not only are we catching the rise and fall of the wave, we are also using this smashing into the, which will become lesser when you put these Wavernators out there. What they do is they hamper the wave's ability to smash in to the coastline, so it slows down the erosion effect, which is very beneficial, but also can create another cycle in the process of, could you imagine it in the future that people are saying we will need more erosion, we need more erosion, but yet we dig up land inland and we have nowhere to put this earth, and if it's pure and it's exactly the same type of earth that the ocean is eroding each and every year, wouldn't it make sense to be in control of what erosion goes into the ocean rather than the sea being in control of what it's eroding? And you never know, we could be losing lots and lots and lots and lots of land mass because of this erosion process. So it's kind of like a double win situation. The Wavernators should dousing down or dampen down the power of the wave slowly but surely. But will this create a ripple effect across the whole world? No, because of the way the waves are made and are generated. We're not impacting that. We are just impacting the force of the wave at the other end. So we are tapping into the energy at the other end. And no, we're not stopping anything, because if we were to take land from inland and it was pure land that the ocean is eroding anyway, and you were to put this in the way, it could happily erode that, because it's via choice what you want it to erode. Thus, for keeping this constant soup mixing in our oceans is what the ocean is doing with this erosion effect. It is mixing a soup. So we want to keep in with that natural balance, but be in control of what it is eroding away at, rather than it choosing what to be an erosion. So the solar panel idea of sea defense / solar panel, and it's also got a mechanism within it that is also able to take the wave crashing into it, and it's able to generate electric. So just got the copyright through on that one, so that's brilliant, and we'll be able to post that one out. So, you know, with this Wavernator process where it uses the clockwork mechanism, that's how we get around this situation of where I said that lots of these cables going all the way over to the motors causes quite a mess of strings. So in order to get around that, we take the same principle from the clockwork power, which I just showed you a moment ago, and I will show you again to keep it nice and fresh in your mind, to understand that these are the clockworks as well. We'll let it focus, there we are. So if you see here, we have the clockworks, and this would then be the Wavernator would be driving these clockworks rather than a pull mechanism. This would be a Wavernator. So forget the MRI for a second and replace it with a Wavernator, the same way that it's going to charge these up. One Wavernator will charge this one Wavernator will charge this one Wavernator will charge that, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and so on. And these are clockworks. Once these are fully wound all together in unison, so if you had 100 Wavernators, you'd have 100 of these clockworks, and they would be winding up nice, slowly and surely. Once one's finished winding up, the other one is discharging. Once this is finished discharging, this one will be ready to be discharged. While this one's discharging, this one's charging up again. And in order to stop it having tons and tons of pulleys going to the motors, which gets really complicated, you only need 2 to go to the motors from the Wavernators, and that comes from a flywheel that when this one's discharging, it's happily here, and once it's finished, this one jumps over to this one, and it fills it in the same way that this one has filled it over here. This flywheel then moves over here, and then this one starts to discharge. And that's how we get around the problem of having lots and lots and lots of cables that get everything all complicated. Now, this generates quite a bit of energy, so the same principle, you are using no energy. So whereas the MRI would be taking 3 volts, if you remember the 369, it uses 3 volts of energy, for argument's sake, to create 9 volts of energy, but takes back 3 from the system and gives you 6. So in order to get around that situation, the waves generate the whole amount of the energy needed, so you are constantly getting 9 volts worth of energy trickling into a battery somewhere, or several batteries, whatever it may be. Now, considering that most land masses, whether you're here, America, China, Russia, India, I believe all of these land masses are surrounded by oceans, and waves are crashing into them day in, day out, night, day, 24/7. And, you know, we should be going with this flow, or erosion, or flow, whichever, and building lots of different devices around it. And we could do this, and it would be quite win-win-win-win on a lot of situations. So it's a constant trickling of power that is being pumped into these batteries on top of solar panels, on top of wind turbines, and it uses this renewable energy. And yeah, you could say the motor would break, but like I said, that once that motor is broken or has burnt out, this stuff can be recycled. You bring it down, have a look, and was like, oh yeah, there was this new way we were able to build. Oh yeah, we knew how to make the motors last a bit longer and make them a bit more powerful. Okay, we'll install that. And then when you're going to replace it anyway because it's burnt out, the same way the mobile phone technology is expanding and it got better and better and better, so will the motors will get better and better and better. And then, there you go, back on the grid, and it's now even more powerful, and it's creating even more electricity. So yes, it's a fine balance of creating the energy, and it's also a fine balance of using the energy. When you get this balance just right, you'll end up having so much energy, copious amounts of energy, that you won't even know what to do with it, literally. And the batteries help you balance out when the peak electricity is being used. So, you know, I think we should get right behind all of these ideas and push them as hard as we can and as fast as we can to generate as much energy as we can. And it's clean. It's really clean. And you'll say, oh, but to make the motor, it does this, this, and this. Okay, if we're generating this much energy and we've got leftover energy, we can go on to create even more of these, which then, off of the energy that was generated clean and green in the first place, to create even more clean green power stations. And I think this is and excels the whole process of runaway effect of betterment. Now, I think this is a very, very good step in the right direction. So the wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine, and yeah, once you've got this, you are able to capture the best of everything. So yeah, this is where this one runs to. Now, I'm so glad I managed to get this video out on this phone, because every time I tried it on this one, I kept running out of power, and I managed to get to the end of the video and the whole thing cut out. And, you know, I lost the video like 3 times. Can you believe it? I've said this 3 times to myself. I'm like crazy. So hopefully this one has picked me up nice and clear. And if it hasn't, I hope the principle is there. It will be something that I will be able to listen to, memorize it back to myself, and then I'll be able to repeat the video once again. So on this one, which is a bit more better of a camera quality and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's where I'm running with that. So, was there anything else I was thinking about? Probably not with this one. So the Wavernators is all there. Let's go back to it, and then let's run through the final pictures, and then you can see how it all looks. So that is the principle, and that is how it all works. So here is the Wavernator, the single Wavernator versus the clockwork power that then gives you the illustration of it going into the motors, which then generate energy. Works so much more better with a battery. You then have the float, which is either filled with ozone or helium. Not too much helium so it floats. You don't want it to do that. You want just enough to make it react so that it always floats on water. And oxygen, yes, it will do that, but you could make it much more liftable and easier for the wave to pick it up. Thus, you can make the springs a little bit more tougher on your clockworks, because it will lift it. It's the power of that ocean. It's forcing that air up. So the more lighter the gas you put in here, such as ozone, if ozone is lighter than helium, it makes it more of a beneficial situation to be in, because it then helps the ocean lift this, which then spins this, which tightens the spring. And that's how you get around that. So there we have that one. I can see if I can whiz through the pictures. You have to look at me whilst I do it. I'm sorry about that, but there we go. So here's another one with the idea of the teeth. I explained that one on the other one, that when the teeth are this way round, it will slip when the wave has passed, and it will drop down, because the way the teeth are designed. One makes it lock and lift and spin, and as this one drops, if you were to turn the Wavernator upside down and install it the opposite way, rather than it slipping down, it will lock when it comes down, and it will slip when the wave lifts up. And you can have these parallel to each other, so you can have one this side and one the other side, and the float connects both of the Wavernators together. So on each lift and rise on the same Wavernators, using 2 Wavernators, you get a full rotation. And that's what happens. So there's that one. And if we flip over one more, I'm not really sure. No, because we move on to something different. So yeah, here's the one that helps you understand the teeth a little bit more. So when it slips, the teeth are able to go inside here, much like a door handle. And here's the other one of when it lifts up and locks, the teeth are in place. They won't slip this way, but they will slip the other way, because it's the way the teeth work. So if you imagine your door, if you go and have a look at your door, and you were to push it shut, if you were to turn that mechanism the other way and go to push it, the door would just slam against, and it won't slip and lock into place, because you need it to be in a certain grooved position in order for it to do that. So there's that. So that helps you understand that situation. I'm moving on to something completely different here, which I'm going to touch upon in a minute. So yeah, I think we have covered all of it, to be fair. And there's your end result. your grey Wavernator. There we go. Here it comes. There it loads. So inside here is your clockwork. Inside here might be your motor mechanisms. Again, it will need to be done by the flywheel process. And once you've got that, I think everything becomes much more beneficial to humanity, to be honest. And then we can start to run away with not only mobile phones, but we can run away with power solutions as well. Yeah, so I think I'm going to leave it here because that's where I'm at with this. So I will pause it and have a quick think to see whether there's anything else I may have missed out in this, because I have done this so many times now. You'd think I would have refined it down to an art, but yeah, you get some information that comes in and some of it just disappears by the time, you know, and then whoosh, another spark goes off and it's, oh yeah, I forgot to say that. So I want to make sure I've definitely covered everything. So also on top of the Wavernator floats as well, if we can make these really, really, really good, and we can get really thin solar panel activity on top of the floats as well, they can double up to catch sunlight at the same time as well as rising and falling on the waves. And this will be able to catch sunlight. They're sitting on in the ocean anyway. You can either make these transparent to eliminate shading or sea shading. So, you don't know, maybe. There are some solar panels that go around that can be, I've seen or I've heard that they're transparent. They can go on basically clear substances and the light will still go into the ocean as well, and it'll also generate power as it does so, which is pretty win-win. Yeah, so it's pretty good. So that's where I'm at with these, and the Tesla battery I think helps excel this idea because it has a way of storing the power for peak usage. And another one I've got to really think about is, while I'm here, is storage heaters charge up at night time. And while storage heaters are charging at night time, they're using a lot of power at night. I wonder if we are making good amounts of power in the day from such as solar technology, wind turbines, Wavernators, clockwork power, would it be beneficial to then switch storage heaters to charge in the day where there is more abundance of power rather than at night time? So maybe that might need to be switched. And yeah, so also with the eco or the Egyptian cooling system, which is on another video if you'd like to look it up, it's on YouTube, as you're able to see the way that you're able to use flask or insulation, vacuum insulation tiles that go up on the outside of the house, on the roof, in between your floors, walls and everything else like that. The less of the environment on the outside is in fact impacting your temperatures on the inside, because it's using the same flask technology. That means that no coldness is going to get in, no heat is going to get in either, and the same way that your heat that you generate inside your house doesn't escape outwards, and also if you cool your house it also doesn't leave into the environment. So it eliminates environmental factors, and it's much more of a better approach than insulation, fiberglass, which, yes, it's okay, it's pretty good, but I think we could do a lot better with that. And again, I touch upon that on another video. So fiberglass, no. Insulation tiles, yes, because it uses the vacuum insulation tiles is what these are. They are a vacuum tile, and with this it's less likely that you're going to lose any heat, such as the same way with the flask tank and also the flask kettle. You only need to heat it once, and then once a week maybe, or twice a week, rather than every single day for the rest of the weeks that you live. You know, every single day, every single moment you have to keep pumping heat into your house, all because it's going out into the environment rather than staying congruent into your home. And insulation, vacuum insulation tiles are a way forward that will stop this. And no one's going to suffocate inside there, I can assure you on that. There will be measures, stringent measures put in place, because safety is always #1 priority when it comes to technology such as this, and there is always a way around it. So we are going away, literally working on safety elements of everything to make sure it's as safe as possible, because the last thing you want to do is start installing stuff and then realize that you've got a lot of safety issues. That's never helpful for anybody, and that kind of makes us get a bad taste in our mouth, and we think twice about venturing out before buying any of these products or installing any of these products. And this can also stagnate human development as well, to be honest. So that's why we work so hard and passionately to try and break all ideas before we push them out, before we receive the copyrights for it. So yeah, that's where we're at with this, and that's what we do. So if you notice anything that we have overlooked, or you could break this, jot it down in a comment. As long as it's respectful, it's quite nice and polite, we will hear to it. And when we listen to these comments, we take it on in our minds, and we go away and look at that, and then we bring a solution to anything that anybody may see. And it's a great thing, because at the end of the day, if we look at it from My Contention's perspective, if you are able to help us, we believe that we're doing an absolute public service in being able to help you back, and that's the way we operate. So yeah, definite public service is number one, to be able to, you help us, we help you, and it's this win-win sort of situation. So make it polite. Obviously, if you see something that we might have overlooked, make it as polite as you can, and just, you know, knock it over to us, and we'll take that on board, and we'll go away and we'll bring a solution to it, because that is what it's all about. And even if you think of a solution, throw your knowledge into the mix, because we love that. And you never know, it might find you on a path where we are able to extend our service to you and say, yo, would you like to come and join a part and be a part of us? You know, we love this bright sparking that goes on. We love it, love it. Actually, it fuels us. This is what our fundamental rule is: bright spark, bright spark, bright spark. And if we see it within you, we will reach out to you and we will make you an offer, because, you know, the more bright sparks we get together, the more we're able to excel humanity for everybody's benefit. Okay, and that's what it's about. We're not greed centered here. We're all about helping as many people as possible. That's very soul feeding. So that's where we're at, and these are some ideas. So, you know, if let us know what you think. That's really good. If you like it and you agree with what we're saying, then drop us a thumbs up, because it really helps. If you want to stay updated with some more technology, because we have got so much more to share with you, then subscribe to our channel, because it's very helpful, because it lets us know where we're going, and it lets us know where we're going right. So, you know, this is where we're at. Also, it's the website that we come from is mycontentions.com, so have a look. Pretty sure that it's on the description, on the main description of our channel, and if it isn't, oh, I need to get around to putting that on there. So there you are. And whatever you're doing, wherever you come from, no matter where you are in the world, have a brilliant and beautiful day. If it's your evening or nighttime, have a wonderful night. And if you're about to go to bed, good night and have a good sleep. So yeah, thank you, and we hope to see you in another video. So brilliant. Keep doing what you do, stay strong, be safe, and we'll see you in the next.